Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce and another fantastic goal by Marco Royce.
Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Jetzt kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Welcome back to Dortmund Dispatch. This is Ali, and I'm joined by Brian. We had the game today against Essen. We'll be getting into that along with some transfer news. But first and foremost, how you doing, Brian?
I am exhausted, but happy to be here talking Dortmund a little bit. We got a win today, so that's good. But I guess we'll go in more into detail about how we got that win shortly, because there's a bit to talk about there.
It was a win, right? So we'll take the win, but it was a suspect win.
Before we get into the suspect, though, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Busy, active. So it's what we want in life. Never be bored. Never be stagnant, because then you get lethargic. You know what I mean? That's a bit of motivation for you guys. All right.
There you go. Spin wisdom.
Exactly. But yeah, today I was at work, so I was watching bits and pieces as the day was going, and I had quite a few frustrations throughout, and it was kind of difficult to see where we're going to be going in terms of tactics throughout the season. But what were your initial thoughts going throughout the game? Because I think we all mentioned something similar in that, like, the pace of the team and the direction was kind of hard to understand. It was a little bit too slow, but what are your initial thoughts?
So I only really managed to see the tail end of the game, because once again at work, so it's a little hard to have that on in the background. But what I did get to see during a little time I had wasn't super inspiring. I will say that. I feel like our midfield looked very flat. One of the things I think I mentioned in the group chat, just like watching those last 20 minutes, was how much of the passing was going side to side as opposed to actually progressing it forward. Just seeing your 10, I'm not really trying to lay into Brandt right away from the jump here, but just seeing your 10 pass it sideways instead of forward, man, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. It just kind of underlines the kind of the creativity problem that we do have in midfield. Obviously, we know Brandt can have sparks of brilliance and all that stuff, but yeah, you just expect a little bit more. And the same goes for everyone else in midfield as well. There just seemed to be a lack of an idea moving forward, and it kind of led to how the goal was scored, which it just kind of came out of nowhere from Girassi. It wasn't brilliant interplay. It wasn't created by anyone but him. He kind of just decided to take a shot through all those defenders, and it went in, luckily. So I mean, obviously happy we got the win, but it wasn't the most inspiring game. I don't know. I just didn't get good vibes from that.
I fully agree with a lot of what you said. The thing about Brandt was he was brought on as a sub with Job, and I think we saw it in the Club World Cup where he's being asked to play in a hybrid forward attacking mid role where he can go wherever he wants. But the thing is, I don't think that suits him, because I remember Nouri Sahin had tried it at the start of last season with Brandt and Sabitzer, and that was a terrible experiment. And I feel like as much as you want to give Brandt freedom, you do have to also give him a role where he has a lot of support in terms of having people around him do the running. But to get into it, some of the stats, because we love doing that here. The XG, we were actually less than Essen. We had a 0.86 XG, while the home crowd was at 0.92. The shots were basically the same. The possession, we saw much more of the ball, but like Brian was saying, it wasn't like we were dominating the play. We were just passing side to side. And then at one point, there was a lot of like route one action where we would send it long into Bayer and Seru. Now, I think Seru's a phenomenal striker, but he's a phenomenal striker with the ball at his feet, not when the ball's in the air. You know what I mean? And I feel like we need to play to our strengths a bit more. Like you said, there was a lot of side to side passing, and we needed a bit more vertical runs. But the issue is, when you look at a midfield three of Gross, Sabitzer, and Nemecha, where are the legs? Has to be asked, because now you're completely relying on Kuto, Svensson, and Bayer to really be gunning it up and down, providing width, running in behind, breaking lines, making those diagonal runs, while those guys just pass it side to side and go backwards a lot. I felt like Kobel was phenomenal, saved us more than once, to be honest. He was amazing, and I'm so happy that he's still around. I know, there was talk about him leaving, but I'm so glad he's still here. Bayer could have done better, but I also think that this doesn't really suit him in that sense, where he's being asked to be a bit more creative. He is direct. He doesn't really he just whips in crosses and takes shots. That's the kind of player I see him being, and you can't really do too much in terms of creativity. But I did want to ask about the midfield, because I feel like we all have a problem with the midfield. When you see that lineup of Gross, Sabitzer, and Nemecha, what does that tell you? Because as soon as we saw the subs being brought on, the pace of our team changed. We're able to hold the ball in between lines, and it was a big difference. But it also begs the question: what was Kovac thinking?
To say exactly what he was thinking, but what we can say is that our options are limited at the end of the day, because if you don't have those three on the field, you have Job on there. Now, what I meant to say with Nemecha is that despite the fact that he's mentioned in that three that we are saying that we're kind of, I guess, a problem in this game, we have seen ball progression from Nemecha, and that's kind of been one of the things that we've looked at and been like, yeah, this is something that he does well. So I do think that a lot of the impetus does fall on him in those situations to be that player, without as much support as we would like from players who used to be dynamic, like Sabitzer, who isn't anymore, and Gross, who was granted a very good creator last season and could end up being one this season as well. He is getting older in age, and I feel like that's just a lot of pressure to put on that midfield. So when you see Job come on, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot more dynamic. It's going to be a lot fresher, and we're going to be able to see better midfield play. But what that midfield three tells me is that we're going to be relying on these players to give players like Job time to rest as well. So we do need them to perform. We need them to come out and actually show that they're capable of doing it. And in this case, they're playing Essen, which is not, for lack of a better phrase, top-tier position at the end of the day. I know the Pokal is the Pokal, and you can't look at it obviously the same as like a league game or something, because crazy things do happen in the Pokal. But you still should be doing better than you did. I don't know. But my main thing, and this is something actually that you mentioned, Ali, it's interesting that when you look at this midfield and their inability, I guess, to really be effective and to progress the ball forward and to get it into those positions that we need it to be in for our attackers to feed off it, you look at those route one tactics that you were talking about where the ball is just being lofted into the air. In a player like Schlotterbeck, we have a player that can do that pretty accurately, and at least in that situation, you have that outlet where that accurate ball is able to go in, and those players up top are able to feed off that. And you mentioned this in the chat, without him being there, you notice how much there's a lack of connection between defense and attack and midfield and attack, because he is one of those main outlets to get that ball forward. And not having him and just seeing the midfield struggle is really sad, because it's just like, you shouldn't be relying on a defender to do that. Your midfield should be able to do that themselves. At the end of the day, I think we also do have to keep in mind that these are players that haven't had much of a break at all. Like, you had the Club World Cup not too long ago. They had a little bit of a break after that, and they're right back at it. They're probably gassed too, to be fair. Like, they're probably really tired. Which is another reason why I'm just like, where's this depth coming from? Because, out of necessity in defense, we're seeing Filipe Mane get minutes now. Any of the players that we might have been able to bring into the midfield to give us some relief, for example, that are from the academy or the second team, like someone like Vatyin is now loaned out. And the whole thing that comes to mind is this whole idea of how thin the squad is and how they've wanted the squad to be as thin as it is. And you see it in situations like this where there really isn't that much, and I gotta say there isn't that much depth because there are a substantial amount of midfielders, but enough, I guess, diversity and depth, I guess I want to say, in that situation, and you see how it's affecting the team now.
Big time. It's quality, right? Right, because we were talking about
I was trying to be
passing.
nice.
No, I mean, we have to say it how it is, because it's, what Schlotterbeck adds, it's not just the fact that he can play a long ball. Anybody can play a long ball, but it's about volume in quality, right? Those go hand in hand. So when we look at that midfield of Schlotterbeck, Gross, and Nemecha, and we can't, it's not about carrying the ball forward. It's about it's about having the ball do the work in terms of covering space, right? So what the issue was, none of those guys were doing enough, and it was a lot of like panicking moments and a little bit too safe at times. And then when they felt like they're not doing anything, they would just launch it into space. You mentioned Filipe Mane. I didn't have a huge problem with him today. I thought he was fine. Anton was Anton was good. Bense had his moments, but he he at least played the pass into Seru for the assist. But I don't want to blame the players, because it's not like entirely their fault. I just don't think they've been set up for success, because I don't know where, for example, Sabitzer fits into this team at the minute in terms of like which midfield role. Is he going to play the pivot? If he is, he needs to be a bit more confident when receiving the ball in certain areas, right? And being able to play a one-touch pass into space for his wingbacks. Is Nemecha going to be able to be a bit more comfortable in between lines? I don't know. If I feel like we're carrying on the conversation from last year. We've been crying for midfielders. We haven't got them. We keep hearing about Carney, and I don't want to hear about Carney. I don't want to hear about it. I feel like that's not the kind of midfielder we need. It's more of the same. And like you said, there's not enough diversity. You mentioned the ones on the bench. I'll go through them quickly, and then we'll get into some quotes. We have Gio Reyna, who I don't even know what's going to happen with Gio Reyna.
You can't count him, because he's
exactly
probably on his way to Parma. So
yeah, exactly. He's there just to fill a seat. Joe Bellingham, new blood. Maybe you want to ease him into it, not fully put too much weight on his shoulders. I get it. I would have liked to see him start. You have Özcan. I don't know his role in this team at the minute. You have Brandt. I don't know why he didn't start. You have Cole Campbell. And you know what? I would have liked a bit of youth. You know what I mean, in this formation. And then you have Adeyemi, who didn't even see the pitch today. Is it to rest him? Has he been playing too much? Is he not 100%? And if he's not 100%, why is he there to begin with? I get like the utility aspect, but when you watch the game, man, it was so negative in like with the ball, and I haven't felt like that, and I didn't want to come on here and be super negative towards the team and the club and everything like that, but it was just very difficult to see like how are we gonna progress in the next month, in the next 3 months from where we are right now, because we need to play vertical and not with long balls, but with the ball on the ground. We need to create more chances. Now, Ryerson not being in this team, in this lineup, does that have an impact, right? Because Kuto was quite weak today, to be quite honest. Svensson, I didn't really notice him. You know what I mean? So these passes that, we get from the width or these runs just weren't really there. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. I can go on for like another 40 minutes, I'm not gonna lie. But talking about Kuto, he got injured. He had a terrible tackle hit on him. I don't think the guy was even going for the ball. He just swung his studs towards his knee, and it looked horrible. It looked so bad.
No attempt on the ball whatsoever. I had to rewatch it actually because initially it looks like the foot is coming down. It's like, oh, like maybe he's going for the ball, but no, the other side literally shows the ball has left the equation and the foot is still coming down on the knee. Yeah. It is, yeah. It was just reckless. Whether it was intentional or not, I mean, that is, TBD, like whatever. We're not going to speculate on that, but it doesn't matter. It's just such a reckless thing to do.
It's a red. I don't know how.
It's a red. Yes, 100%.
I don't know how that wasn't given as a red, but now we move on to like obviously God forbid any major long-term injuries, but if he is injured, what happens then? Are we gonna start Bayer as the right wing back? Like, is that the answer? Svensson and then push Spencer Baini up? Like, what happens there?
It's interesting because if everyone was, well, I guess in this scenario not everyone would be fit, but you do have some versatility in that back line where, for example, if you do have a situation where now Ryerson is out for I don't know how long, maybe it's just this game. I don't know what the deal with that is, but obviously he wasn't playing today, so there was something up. Now Kuto's out. If Sula's fit, you see him slot in there because he's been able to play right back, but he's also out. So that, like, we're very thin there now, and it's already getting interesting with these injuries.
Yeah, the season just started.
Barely, yeah, and we're already this deep in all this. So.
I don't understand the want for the thin squad. I don't get it, especially with the amount of games that you're playing. It doesn't make sense. But here, let's get into a quote from Nico on the tackle. He said, "I hope not too much has happened, but he's in a lot of pain. I'm confident in the end it might just be a serious bruise. I have to be honest. That's no way to go. I don't want to accuse him of intent, but that's gross negligence. I can't leave it like that. It's actually an attack." It was pretty reckless, rather, like you said.
And that's kind of what we're getting at. Like, we don't want to like assume intent because like you don't want to ever think that someone's out there to hurt another player. But even if
100%,
if you're just being loose with the tackle, it is negligent. It is extremely negligent, and it is really something that I believe that it should be looked at post game. It should be something that is looked at, replayed, and maybe have some sort of retroactive action taken because that was rough.
It was scary, man. It was really scary. Here, moving on to Julian Brandt. He says, I hope that Kuto doesn't drop out now too, because we don't exactly have the biggest squad at the moment. Kind of echoing what we were just saying. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy when the players start calling it out. Because, I mean, I feel like like fans, whoever, a lot of people have been saying that, we really don't have that, full of a squad. And it's clearly not just us. The players are kind of saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, like we really don't have many options, and this could really adversely affect us in the season moving forward. You didn't say it in that many words, but I mean, what else are you implying there? Like, it's, yeah, like there's not that many bodies for these positions, let alone like nailed on, players that'll 100% start in those positions, mind you. I just mean defense in general, taking Schlotterbeck out of the equation. But it's just like, yeah, like it's just tough. It's just really tough. I don't know. And it's just very interesting to see Brandt come out, recognize that, because like the same thoughts are likely going through their heads too.
100%. And maybe I'm a bit too like I've said this like one too many times, but isn't this why you have an academy? Isn't this why like you have youth products coming through the ranks so that when things go awry, when injuries happen, A, B, C, D, you do have a bank to go and make a withdrawal from. But it seems like every time we make a withdrawal, we're afraid to use that. Now, the withdrawal being the promotion, whether it's temporary or permanent, of youth academy players into the first team. Now, if you're telling me that no one in the academy is even showing signs of being able to play in the first team, then I'm even more worried, to be quite honest, because then we're not really setting ourselves up for the next 5-10 years. Now, we could be overreacting. This is very possible that we're like, a little too dramatic at the start of the season, but it's kind of hard to see past what happened in this game, where clearly there is a depth issue, clearly there is a tactic issue, whether the players aren't brave enough to execute what the coach had in mind, or if they're just incapable. If you had a different style of player on the bench, in the squad, maybe the game won't feel so static the entire time. But yeah, you want to do star and dud?
Considering I feel star is easy for me, so I guess we could start there. I feel me giving a dud of the week, considering I didn't watch the entire game, would be a bit unfair because I only saw a part of it. But yeah, let's start with star, and I'll think of a dud.
Star. You know what? I'll there's two players. I'll take Kobel. Right, Kobel was amazing. He always is, to be honest. I know he had like a dip of form not too long ago, but he's really, really excellent at what he does. He saved us countless times in this game, and can't really complain about the guy. He's great, and he was captain. So,
man, he's been my shout for captain for a very long time now. I'll go with the other obvious answer with Serhou Guirassy. I mean, him scoring that goal obviously very much pulled Dortmund out of the fire in this game. It was, a bolt out of the blue, like completely out of nowhere, because like he was surrounded by defenders, and like it just goes to show his quality. Once again, he's able to make that shot, get it into the bottom right corner, as accurately as he did. I mean, top player, man, top player. And yeah, just honestly happy to have him. I feel like he's gonna have to do a lot of that this season, so I hope he's prepared.
Yeah, big time. I think in terms of dud, like I said, I don't want to harp on players too much. It's the first game of the season. But I will say, for whether he's comfortable there or not, Sabitzer, we've been crying out for a 6. We really need a 6. And it seems like the club refuses to make it happen. Right. They keep looking for alternatives. If you're going to play Sabitzer in there, you do need a physically dominant player, someone who can play 1-2 touch, someone who has a third eye on the back of their head, because he's not that kind of player. I feel like he's better a bit higher up, receiving the ball in the half turn, not necessarily having the quote-unquote Busquets role, because that's kind of what it was for the majority of this game. Do you want to give a dud?
Yeah, I mean, the only name that came to mind was Sabitzer, so I'll agree with you on that. I mean, the fall-off has been unfortunate. I mean... It's been steep. It's been steep. I was a massive fan of his, form in the second half of his first season, but, I mean, that's history. How much can we harp on that at this point? Ever since last season, whether he played out wide, whether he played in midfield, he just wasn't the same player, and it doesn't seem to be changing. I mean, what I'm saying might be premature because it's just the beginning of the season, like you said, but yeah, his performance wasn't exactly inspiring in this game from what I saw. So,
and we're not trying to, speak negatively about the player. It's just I just don't think he and a few others haven't been set up to succeed. To be quite honest,
Yeah.
there's a disconnect somewhere, and clearly the players are able to see the issues, since we're quite literally agreeing on them, and in the squad depth and the variety and the volume and quality, like I mentioned before. So, hopefully, we're like what, a week and a half out from the window closing at the, I think, time of recording. So I think less, to be honest.
That is so scary and so
yeah.
anxiety-inducing. Oh my god. I just felt my blood pressure shoot up when you said that. What are they gonna do in that time?
Oh
my
man,
goodness.
every person we've been linked to has gone somewhere else. We don't have pull, bro. Like, I feel like it's changed. Like, our pull in Europe is not the same. It's
I don't
really not
think.
the same.
See, that's the thing. I don't think it's the pull. I don't think it's the pull because there have been very clear indications that players like, for example, Ryan Cherky, he seemed very much ready to come to Dortmund. I don't know if you saw his debut for Man
I remember.
City.
Oh yeah, I did.
It was pretty good. So that's a pretty good player right there. If reports are to be believed, Buonanotte wants to come to Dortmund, but Brighton is like, I don't know about that, Chief. Carney Chukwuemeka, whether you rate him or not, he is still considered a higher end prospect, He's not opposed. Obviously, he's wanted to stay. Jadon Sancho's wanted to come back. Like, I wouldn't say it's the pull. I think it's, at this point, I just think it's the negotiation tactics. I think it's, you're hearing a lot more of this. Like, this club is insulted, that club's insulted. Like, I don't know. Initially, I was like, well, for example, with Lyon, I was like, in Turkey, I was like, all right, yeah, that's on Texter. But the more you hear these things, the more you're like, well, what is going on with these negotiations? But also, just another counterpoint to the pull thing. I mean, we did secure Job. He is at the club. He did have other options, right? Obviously, I mean, there's a bit more of a history there, but I do think that we still have the pull. It's just something else is going on there that's kind of like derailing these things, or we're just getting severely unlucky, and clubs are just not wanting to negotiate the same way they used to. That a club like Brighton back in the day would possibly sell to us a lot easier. Now they have a lot more money, a lot less need. So I don't know.
That's a fair point. Yeah. I was gonna jump in on the Job, but I was like, all right, he saved it.
Job, yeah, no, it's a joke.
No, I mean like that, like, oh yeah, he came here, yeah, but his brother kind of had a big hand in the move, probably.
Yeah, of course. That's why I said he had a history, but
Yeah. But all right, here, let me read the last quote of the day from Filippo Mane. I am really happy about my debut, also because of the clean sheet and we advanced in the DFB Pokal. I was just thankful and happy that I played. I am happy with this performance. At least we have another center back option now. When everybody's healthy, will we see him? I don't know, but at least he's there, and at least he's shown signs that, hey, you know what, I can play a knockout game, and
Yeah.
I can assert myself as needed.
I mean, listen, this is a highly rated young player. Yeah, he has an injury history, which is slightly concerning, obviously. But it is a bit of a counterpoint to what we were saying earlier, where we haven't seen too many young players come through from the academy and play. In this case, they don't have a choice. And he is playing for that reason. But it may end up being a blessing in disguise, because if this guy can stay fit and he does come through on the promise that his potential holds, we do have another good young player on our hands then. At the end of the day, it's good that we have, some additional depth there. I still think Dortmund should look into signing another player just to have, because at the end of the day, players will be leaving next season. Emre Can, probably Niklas Sula. Like, you're gonna need the depth anyway. But for the time being, I am happy he's getting minutes, and I'm glad he's performing. So.
All right, let's get into some transfer chat. Oh man, we should have a segment called transfer chat, because it's ideal for us, because nothing
That's
ever
what we're
happens.
calling it from now on.
All right, transfer chat. All right. It's not like we have a whole other podcast.
Yeah, no,
All right.
it's true.
first bit of news is the Rosario Central defender Juan Jimenez is injured, which means the BVB deal is likely off. Now, question for you is: did Dortmund wait too long to pull the trigger on this move? And he's just already nodding. And where do they go now for defensive reinforcements?
I mean, where do they go? That's for them to find out and them to figure out at this point. Because I don't know. Like this whole transfer window is completely blowing my mind in terms of what our options are and what aren't our options anymore. Because one day we have a budget, the next we don't. But to answer the question about whether they took too long, 100%. I think this was very much a talented player that they could have brought in that could have played a significant role in terms of depth, in terms of providing much needed cover. And not only that, he's talented and young, and that means that when the old guard do leave next summer, which is most likely the case, you have a ready-made replacement. Now, yes, once again, we just mentioned we have Filippo Mane. That isn't enough. That covers one of the possible two players that might be leaving. So it's like you kind of did flub, or not you, I guess the club. That's what I'm trying to say. They did kind of flub it there because it's like, yeah, like this was a talented player that is now not an option, and now you have to go looking for alternatives. This late in the window, that's going to be a lot tougher because a lot of the time when it comes to transfers made by this club, one of the things that I've always said that has always been a good factor is that, at least for several transfer windows prior to this one and I guess perhaps the last one, well, no, I guess the last one was planned, but a lot of the time, a lot of the transfer business was wrapped up fairly quickly, and these targets were identified like way early on. It's not like you're jumping from like one player to another. For example, how we are with Buonanotte to Claudio Echeverri. Now, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. We'll talk more about that later.
No problem, man.
But it's like, yeah, like it's just a lot of, I feel like, haphazard, like last minute decision making, and like I want to think that that's not the case because this is a professional football club that has so much success, but it's almost hard not to see that when you see stuff like this. Like I feel like there's so much waiting and seeing, and not enough action that we get into these situations where, for example, a possible target is no longer on the cards because he's injured. I mean, we could bring him in still. I mean, we brought Duranville in when he was injured, but how does that help us right now? It doesn't. So, I don't know.
I mean, he also hasn't, particularly contributed too much. But I won't go down the Duranville route.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something that I've talked about before and we've discussed before, which is the succession problem. Right. We don't actually prepare ourselves, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but we wait till like the last moment to scramble, find a replacement, and it's never something long term. Like, for example, in our midfield, right, we don't really have a player like Dawood. We don't have a player like Witzel. We don't have a player like Gundogan, where someone who just knows how to set the tempo, pick the ball up in those half turns, and push the game, push and impose ourselves onto the other team. We don't have that. And
a metronome.
Yes, a metronome. Thank you very much, Mr. Dictionary. We we don't have that, and we've been lacking it for a long time, especially because with Terzic, if we go back to Terzic, he didn't necessarily need it in his style.
It's all about physicality.
It was physicality, and that's why Jude was excelling at in that time that he was with Terzic, because it was just bulldoze your way through, right? And then you had your creatives, and if you have Royce, things will typically go well, to be honest. In attack, you can manage without that, right? Because they will cover that missing piece of a good team. We haven't had that in a while, right? And we don't set ourselves up to actually lose a player. We lose a player or they start declining. We're like, oh, God, find someone, right? As far as I know, when it comes to transfers, you start 12 months prior. You already identify your targets. You keep a close eye and you get a deal going early. And it seems like we're having a lot of conversations, but they're just that. They're just conversations. And we need a bit more action if we want to stay competitive, because it doesn't feel like, I don't want to say it doesn't feel like we are, but it doesn't seem like we're setting ourselves up for the long run, right? Because you have to think past, the next 6 months, the next 12 months. You got to look into also next year. What is this team going to look like? Is Kovac even going to be here? You know what I mean? So that was a great point that you made. I really like that. Next bit of news is, sorry, did you want to add anything onto that?
No, all good.
All right. Next bit of news is Dortmund has submitted a loan with an option to buy offer for Claudio Echervi. That's how I'm going to say his name. I'm sorry if I messed it up as well. He is seen as an alternative to Carney. I actually don't know a lot about this player. So are you able to tell me much?
I know he's a talented player that Manchester City brought in, and he hasn't seen any minutes for them as yet for them. I was hoping Pedro could be here to talk a little bit about that. No shade, Pedro, no shade. Yeah, I mean, he's seen as an option for Carney, so I'm assuming if that really is the case, and you have a player that's possibly able to play an 8 or a 10. Once again, I kind of don't know too much about the player, so I don't know how accurate the comparison is, because when
I've seen him.
Have you now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be great. Sorry, I'm so sorry to jump in. He's really good. He can turn. He can turn. This is great. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had to look up his picture. No, yeah. This is a very good player. I'm wondering why they're going for like the loan option to buy, loan with an option to buy. Because if we can snag him, that'd be amazing. He, like you said, he could play as an 8. He's very attacking though. Like he's someone you want like going forward in behind. You know what?
Right.
With this formation that he played today, if he placed this guy in Nemecha's spot and played with Gross and Sabitzer as a double, and then him in front with Bayer and Grassy in front of him, that would have made 10, more sense.
Basically.
Yeah.
He'd be. Yeah.
He's very good, very, very good.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, as an 8 or a 10, I guess more of an attacking 8, obviously. But definitely, I would assume that the club is looking for a number 10, considering the fact that Reina is also set to be leaving for Parma and stuff like that. So bringing him in, my assumption would be you're bringing in that versatile player for the midfield, and I think it's important that we bring in a player like this, be it him or Bonanote or anybody in that sort of role for that matter, because we are lacking that creative spark in midfield.
Or both.
Or listen, don't get people's hopes up. Like that's not how this works. We know that.
But that would be great if they did get both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm far more versed when it comes to Bonanote. I've seen a little bit more of him, so and it's kind of a bit more of a known quantity for me.
For sure.
But once again, a creative player in the midfield, someone that can play that attacking midfielder role, is important. At least to even if he's not ready to start right away, which from what you said, it seems like he'd be good to go. But you need that person to push Brandt at this point, and without that, it's just like you see a little bit of that like creativity in the midfield stifled, because Brandt is very fair weather. He's a luxury player. He's not going to be the one that consistently pulls those crazy moves out of his hat and like is able to kind of propel the team forward with creativity. If Echeverri, or however you pronounce his name, is that player, then 100% I'd be for it. So I think it's important that they look at those profiles before they close the transfer window.
100%. It's also important to honestly not put so much pressure on on Brandt, right, to be the sole creative outlet. Because, and when I say creative, I mean like magic. I put that in quotations, where like he'll split the defense with a pass. Because like Bayer and Karim, right, they can create chances, right? They can be creative, but not in the same way. It's a bit more, pace and power. But yeah, I think it's important to bring in one or two, maybe two, I don't know, because just alone, maybe they can make it work money wise. And he's so much better than Carney. Like, I don't know his injury history, but it would be a much better choice. He'll give us like a different look, someone who can actually dribble as well. Not Nemecha. Don't don't even get me started. Next bit of news. This guy I think we know a bit about. Dortmund have inquired about Monaco's Ben Seguir, who Leverkusen have already submitted an offer and had it rejected. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he is. Good. This is definitely someone we could probably have a little bit more to say about. I mean, just kind of looking at his numbers, I believe last season he had about 8 or 9 goals and 4 assists in all competitions. So into the double digits with goal and assist contributions. So that's very good. Versatile player, which is once again something that we very much heard a lot of these rumors harp on throughout the summer. They're looking for a player that can play as an attacking midfield or a winger, losing the likes of Gio Reyna and obviously Jimmy Gittins. Now Julian Duranville is also injured for an extended period of time. You're lacking in those positions, and Ben Seguir would definitely fit a lot of those roles and be able to fill in a lot of those gaps where necessary. So I think it'd be a solid deal, probably an expensive one. Also probably one we might get priced out of. I think Leverkusen is a bit more flush with cash in terms of what they got from transfers and stuff like that. I mean, we have Club World Cup money, so what am I saying? But apparently we have to replace the kitchens, right? Because apparently that was messed up, and now that's
what?
Have you not heard about that?
No.
Apparently we have to replace the kitchens at the club because they weren't up to code or something like that.
What's
I mean, this is what's going on. So we got our fridge transferred in. I don't know, or a new stove or something.
Man, bro, what was the transfer fee?
You know what? I don't even want to know. But back to being on topic, I do think that in this case Leverkusen probably has like more cash to be able to, just from the Wirtz and Frimpong deals. I mean, both. I guess maybe the Frimpong deal was maybe a little undercut considering it was a release clause. But the Wirtz deal left them with a lot of money, probably paid in installments. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is a good move. I think this is a good profile of player. Once again, we already talked about it, versatile, able to fill in a lot of gaps for Dortmund, and able to add that creativity into the midfield and out wide. So I'd be for it.
Oh, big time. Yeah, he's dynamic. He offers you a lot going forward. And versatility is important, but also specialization in roles is crucial. I like versatile players, but when you know that someone is really good at their role, it kind of like it eases your mind a little bit, because you know that when he's in that space, he's going to be comfortable. People will move as they need to because they know where he's going to be. So,
right.
I think a player like this would be great. It is worrying that Leverkusen is involved, but I think we are a more suitable transfer for him. Because
you would think.
Honestly, because like the squad's thin, so there's more of a chance that you're gonna play. And who wants to play under Ten Hag? You know what I mean? Xhaka left. He played one game and he was like, "I'm not doing this," and he left.
That is true.
You know
that
what
is
I mean?
a good point. That is a good point.
He went to Sunderland. That's how bad he wanted out. Like, he just wanted to get out of there. That's a fact. Not really, but but yeah, this would be a really cool player to have.
For sure.
And an exit. We had an exit. Sebastian Haller joined FC. I'm gonna butcher this. Utrecht.
Yep.
There we go. As per Patrick Berger, he will be paid €4 million in compensation Dortmund save 5 million euros on his salary. I'm happy that he's moved on. Hope he gets more consistent minutes.
Absolutely.
He I was gonna say, he came. He had a rough start, with his illness, but he was always class when he was playing. I do wish that we were able to see more of what we had saw prior to him joining us, but what he gave us, I was not disappointed with. I'm just happy he's somewhere where he wants to be, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, this is a club obviously he's very familiar with. He's played for them before in the beginning of his career. So, I mean, yeah, I wish him all the best. At the end of the day, the high wages that he was on at Dortmund obviously were dragging the club down financially. But his contributions, obviously not his fault. Those contributions weren't, I guess, up to par with those wages. Obviously with his battle with cancer and stuff like that. But I think it's better for the player because he will play regularly and be able to do what he enjoys. And then financially, it's a more sound situation for the club. So, yeah, all the best to him.
Love that. Last bit of news. Chatting about your boy. Dortmund still they see Buonanotte as priority. I hope I read that right. I didn't feel like it, but we're gonna move on. He was left out of the squad this past match day, as he is set to leave Brighton, and this is as per Fabrizio Romano. Imagine, all this hype and everything, and then he posts a picture with a different jersey on. I'd be crushed.
I mean, so we talked about it kind of on the last episode. Like it obviously doesn't feel nailed on anymore. It's because I think what the news was is that he sees the club as a priority, according to Romano. And if that's the case, that kind of goes back to our conversation about pull. It's like, if a player of his quality is still looking at us and be like, yeah, like, this is where I want to go, obviously the pull is there. But once again, I do think he's a good option. He's a very creative player. He would add that creative spark. He's a set piece specialist. He's able to put in balls into the box, be it from free kicks, corners. He's able to cross the ball in. He can play out wide through the middle. I would hope that he would probably get more time through the middle, because at the end of the day, we don't really play with traditional wingers right now anyway. We've even seen Adeyemi move more into that second striker role, because we do play for two now. So there is that. I do hope that he would be playing more in that 10 role, and kind of being a midfield creator for us, because I think he would excel in that role. I guess it's really up to Brighton now, because the more you read about this whole saga, they don't really want to get rid of him fully because they see potential in him and they want to loan him out to a Premier League side. But if that's the case, then we can see why it's more enticing for him to come here, because he'll be playing Champions League football versus maybe, I don't know, playing for a team that doesn't even play in Europe next season in the Premier League, or being loaned out to a Champions League championship side is what I'm trying to say. So I think it'd work out for all parties. And once again, it's just interesting. It's clear that this player is quality, because Brighton is like, well, we don't really want to fully get rid of him, because we do think we see that quality ourselves. So I think he'd be a very sound addition, because when he was out on loan with Leicester last season, he was a creative force for them. He was one of their main bright spots. So I hope beyond hope we get him, but we'll see.
You keep throwing that poll comment in my face, and I feel like I want to retract it at this point.
Sorry. No. It's not meant like that. It's just I'm trying to defend our honor here.
I know. It was said in jest at the beginning.
No,
but I do like Dortmund as a club. I think will always be attractive for its history, for the fan base, for the passion, and for its play style. Like, we are a very exciting club in Europe. I really feel that way, and I think people will always want to put on that jersey, because like the passion in that stadium is different. Like, you don't really get that in a lot of places. Just look at what was his name? The striker that we brought in. I think it was from Mainz or Stuttgart. I can't remember his name. Big guy, scored in Der Klassiker last second. Can't remember his name.
Are you talking about the guy who came from Cologne, Anthony Modeste?
Yes,
Yeah.
that Modeste. Yeah, that moment will probably be the best moment of his career. You know what I mean? People want to have that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
fair.
the the club will always be an attractive place for people to go. So don't like kill me in the comments. I was just joking. So we do have a game coming up on Saturday against St. Pauli. We'll be playing away for the opener of the Bundesliga. Should be interesting. Any initial thoughts heading into the game?
Considering how we played today, I would hope, obviously, this is a better performance. It's unfortunate because we talk about transfers and all these possible players that could come in and help in a situation like this. I mean, St. Pauli are going to be in the relegation scrap, in my opinion. I don't think this is a team that's going to be, fighting for anything aside from that. Just basically staying up will be important for them. So I think having a bit of a creative player to unlock what is likely going to be a very defensive St. Pauli side would have been good to have. So a player like Bonanote or Echeverri or somebody. We'll see what sort of performance Brandt puts in. I expect him to start as our main 10 here. Once again, Gio Reyna might not even be at the club, so our options will be a bit limited there in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I would expect a win. I think it's fair to say. I think it's important that we start the season off right. Anything less than a win would be obviously not the best result, considering we really are trying to rectify the wrongs of last season and not put ourselves in the same situation that we were in where we're fighting for Champions League at the last minute. Overall, we have the quality to do this, to get through this, obviously. Score prediction, I'm going to give it a 2-0 with goals coming from Girassi and Bayer very late in the game. I'm going to say like 70th and like 85th minute or something like that.
What second do they go in? 70th minute, and is it like 70th minute and the 42nd second? You know what I mean? Like, when do they go in?
70th minute and 85th minute. You heard it here first.
Oh man, I'm worried about the right back position because or the right wing back position, right? Because I don't know who he's gonna slot in there.
Right.
I hope he doesn't play Karim in that role, because I feel like that's a chance. But or maybe even Bayer, but maybe even Gross, actually. I think we've seen him as a right back.
It would probably be Gross, yeah, because he's able to play in that position. I would hope that Rierson would be back until then, or by then, I should say. But if not, it'll probably be Gross.
I think he was estimated to come back early September, so I guess we may have to wait for that. But I do think we'll win. I think it'll be like a 2-1. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna guess the minutes. I'm not really a fortune teller. But I do think that we should be able to win this comfortably. I don't see a major issue. I also don't know too much about what they've done this summer at St. Pauli. But it should be a win. Start the season strong, right?
Truth.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Well, we said at the same time. That was weird. Is there anything you want to plug?
Me, no, nothing to plug right now. Just follow the pod on all our socials. Blue Sky. We're on Instagram as well. Follow us on follow us on Spotify and Apple Music, wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And yeah, I'm excited for the season. I hope you guys are excited for the ride as well. Oh, there's something that I do want to plug now that I realize we're doing a fantasy Bundesliga league again. That link will be coming out tomorrow, along with whenever this episode comes out. So yeah, that information will be available on Blue Sky. We'll put it on Instagram as well. If you want to join our fantasy Bundesliga league, feel free to join. And we'll be monitoring it again throughout the season. So hope to see you guys as part of it.
Amazing. And once again, I probably will download the app and then forget to build my team, and then 3 weeks in, I'll realize that I'm too late.
Try better this time.
I will. So I think we're good to go. Like, Brian said, check us out everywhere, anywhere that you get content. Anywhere that you listen to your podcast, we are there. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, everything. We're there. Check us out. And if you have any thoughts, add us at Blue Sky. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out, another fantastic goal by Marco Royce.
Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!